guys? It's Rob Cheek here, aka The Nerdy Athlete. Today we're going to be going over the game of the week in college football, being the Tim Tebow's versus the Fighting Ed Orgerons. They're playing down in the fake Death Valley, because we all know the real Death Valley is up there in Clemson, South Carolina, baby. But yeah, it's a top 10 matchup, cross-division matchup in the SEC. Number 7 Florida travels to Baton Rouge to take on number 5 LSU, and what could be strength-on-strength game. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Down to the wire. All right, let's start off with the field generals on each side of the ball. On Florida side, you got Kyle Trask. He's 70 of 97 on the year with 7 touchdowns and 2 picks for about 881 yards passing. He's doing a pretty solid job overall throughout this early part of the season. I mean, obviously he didn't start the first couple games, but he's done well given the circumstances. He's not really much of a game changer. I call him more of a game manager. I really need to see him protect the ball better in the pocket. And last week against Auburn, he had a couple strip sacks by the D-line, and you just can't have that. And a lot of those came in scoring position. So I mean, you really gotta tighten up on that and that aspect of the game. It's gonna be a difficult task for him this weekend, though. He's making his first road start of the year, and his first road start is going to come at the hands of one of the most, if not the most, hostile environment in all of college football in Death Valley, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So we'll see what he can do when that crowd's rocking and the lights are bright, prime time. I hope he does good, man. I really do, but it's a tough task for a new starter, and even though he's not a rookie per se, them lights are going to be bright, boy. And on the other side of the ball, you got Joe Burrow for LSU. And Joe Burrow, man, in the last couple of years, he's been kind of, not really a big factor in LSU. All he do is hand the ball off majority of the time. But this year, he's flourishing underneath that new offensive scheme. They're running the spread offense out there in LSU, and that's probably the best thing that ever happened to him. It definitely made his draft stock go way higher, and he's been playing lights out. He's 127 out of 162 passing for over 1,800 yards on the season for 22 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He's definitely up there in the Heisman race, right behind Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Fields. But he's right there with him. I mean, he's not too far behind. If they don't consider him for the Heisman, especially if he wins these next few games against big-time opponents, and then the Heisman is a joke to me because he definitely deserves to be there. I don't care for the guy personally. I don't like his attitude, but as a football player, he's a hell of a football player. All right, now to my prediction. I believe that we'll learn a lot about these two teams this weekend, being that it's going to be strength on strength. LSU's offense versus Florida's defense. Both of them are great in their own right. But the thing about these two teams are LSU really hasn't played a good defense. The best defense they've played so far on this year, as far as stats are concerned and rankings, is Georgia Southern in the very first game of the year. I mean, honestly, granted, they did what they needed to do, put up big points against lesser teams, but and kind of the same goes for Florida. They haven't really played any good offenses. The only quality offense they played on the year is last weekend versus Auburn, and that's an Auburn that's shaky and up and down. You never know what you're going to get with Auburn until you take the field and get about halfway through the game. Then you figure out what kind of Auburn you're going to play that day. So, I mean, granted, I picked Auburn to win last week, but like I said, Auburn's shaky. They go up and down. And Auburn was just not clicking on any cylinders, not even all cylinders. They weren't clicking on any cylinders. They could not get Bo Nix anything. They had no time in the pocket, which is crazy because Auburn's got a pretty decent offensive line. But that just goes to show you how good Florida's D-line is. But this will be their first real test playing up against a high-octane offense like LSU. I honestly believe that Florida's defense will show up in this game as they have all season so far. So that's not really the worry to me. I believe that they will do their thing. They'll get the stops they need to get them, but it's all going to fall, honestly, on Florida's offense and Kyle Trask. And honestly, I've been telling people this for months now, even into last season. I think that Emory Jones is by far the best quarterback on that roster, including Felipe Franks, even though he's hurt. But I've always thought, ever since last year when I've seen Emory in the games, I was like, dang, because he's a complete package. He can run the ball when he needs to. He can make plays with his legs. And he can also throw darts. I mean, what's not to love about that guy? He went in for a few snaps last weekend when Kyle Trask went down with an injury, and he performed very well. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown, but they moved the ball efficiently and got a field goal out of it. So I mean, he's a good quarterback, man, and he gives the offense another element to them where they can move the ball on the run, they can extend plays. It really, honestly, will keep the LSU defense honest and not let them just stack the box and force you to throw the ball because you got to worry about the quarterback running. But Kyle Trask, you really don't have to worry about that too much. I mean, he can move, but he's really not known for his mobility per se. He's more of a guy that just sits in the back, hands the ball off, and run the play action pass and maybe some deep passes here and there. But he's really not a game changer. And I feel like Emory Jones will be a game changer for them. And they at least need to give him, a few drives and see how he does. And if he doesn't do good, then keep going with Kyle Trask. But if they put Emory in there for a couple drives and he moves the ball efficiently, hate to say it, man, Kyle Trask is a good guy, but you got to do what you got to do to win. Just look at what happened to Clemson with Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, no hard feelings to Kelly Bryant, but Trevor Lawrence was just a better quarterback. And it showed. I mean, same thing I feel like is going to be here. Emory Jones is going to get his shot, and he's going to shine. And if he ain't this year, then I just don't understand the coaching. Which, I mean, I guess they see him all week in practice, so you can't win the game, or you can't win the job in a game. You got to win the job in practice. So I guess if he's not performing in practice like Kyle Trask is, then I understand. But for this particular time, in this big game, back-to-back top 10 games you've just played, you got to do something. You got to do something spectacular to win this game. I think teams that play back-to-back top 10 teams are, I think, 1-11 is what I saw a stat the other day. So it's not easy to win back-to-back games against top 10 opponents. Stats and history have shown that. So Florida, if they want to win this game, they're going to have to do something to get just something different. And again, on Florida's offense, honestly, if you watched that game last weekend against Auburn, they really should have blown Auburn out. It really wasn't close. The only reason it was close was because they had untimely penalties and untimely fumbles. They had 4 or 5 fumbles last week. It's ridiculous. You got to protect the ball better. You've got to protect the ball better in order to win. Especially these big games like this. You might get away with it against some lesser teams, but not these top 10 opponents like you just had. You squeaked by against Auburn when you really should have won by like 21, at least 17. So come on, man. Like, get it together. The running game is, like I said last week, non-existent. They had that one big run last week against Auburn to end the game, to put it away kind of. But, I mean, other than that, they really didn't run the ball well against them either. It's just, I don't know what it is. If it's the offensive line not blocking right, opening holes up for them, or the running back is just, their vision is not there. Either way, they got to do something because you can't afford to have these kind of penalties and get plagued by turnovers in critical moments of the game. They were in scoring position, at least field goal range, 2 or 3 times last week, and they fumbled it or got penalties and got pushed out of field goal range, and it just killed them. It killed their drives. But like I said, I think that Gator D is going to show up, and they're going to slow down the LSU offense. I mean, they're not going to be able to completely stop them because you can't stop a high-octane, explosive offense like LSU has. Even though they haven't played anybody really great defense-wise, they're still a real deal, and they're going to get theirs. But it's all going to fall, like I said, on Florida's offense if they can answer the bell and match, shot for shot with LSU and make it a close game and come down to the wire. But yeah, on offense, Florida's just going to have to keep drives alive and minimize the 3 and outs that they have. Just trying to keep that LSU offense off the field, man, because if LSU gets on the field and gets rocking on offense, man, there's no slowing them down. There's no stopping them. So you got to keep them at bay and keep them off the field because when they're off the field, they can't score points. They can't move the ball. They can't get momentum. So just keep them off the field, man. Because Florida can't allow them to make the big plays downfield, man. That'll be a killer for them. You literally just keep the ball in front of you. Don't let them behind you. You can't let them have 30 or 40-plus yard plays down the field. That's what they feed off, that explosiveness. You got to keep them at bay, make them drive the whole field, maybe settle for a field goal here and there. I mean, of course, you're going to give up points, but you got to minimize that. You got to minimize it. But ultimately, man, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than what the analysts are expecting. I mean, I know Vegas has LSU a 13.5-point favorite as of right now. And I just think it's going to be a closer game than just like last week. I picked against Florida, and I thought Auburn was going to beat them, but it was going to be a close game. But it ended up being the flip-flop of what I thought. I mean, Auburn came out sloppy, and Florida played a hell of a game. I mean, their offense struggled at times, but their defense was lights out. And I think if their defense shows up like they did last week, I know it's a away game. I know it's in Death Valley. I know it's night game, prime time, but defense travels, and I think that the defense will get the job done. Like I said, it's just going to ultimately fall on the offense for Florida if they can get the ball rolling, or they just go 3-and-out all night. If they go 3-and-out all night, it's going to be a long night for the Gators. But Florida is known to win games when everybody doubts them. And last year they were doubted against LSU, and what they do? They upset LSU. Granted, it was at home, but a win's a win, man. And I think they can get the job done again this weekend. Now, LSU is going to be looking for revenge after that game last year, so they'll be playing emotionally amped up, and history's shown that's just a recipe for disaster. You get too amped up and make a lot of critical mistakes, trying to make the big hit instead of just wrap them up. Just a bunch of stuff can go wrong when you're playing emotionally. So you need to if you're LSU, you need to calm down and play with a clear head and not try to get too amped up. And it's going to be hard because that crowd's going to be rocking. You're going to have adrenaline going through your body. So I mean, it's just going to see how LSU performs under all that hype. I mean, I guess you'd say. First real team they're playing against, and they're trying to prove everybody wrong. But if they get too angry and too hyped up, they're gonna make some big mistakes. But I mean, I picked against Florida last week, and it made me eat my words. So I'm not gonna pick against them this week. Now I know this is a whole different animal than the struggling Auburn team, but I feel like with that defense they have, I think the offense will do just enough to squeeze out a close victory. I think the defense will get a defensive score, whether that be a scoop and score or a pick six, some of that sort. But I think Florida gets the job done, man. I think Florida wins in Baton Rouge, but I'm going with the Florida Gators, baby, 30-27. TNA out, son.
Meanwhile.
Oh, they go. Oh, just go once again. LSU, they go Tiger, you know what I'm saying? Oh, who the Florida Gators? Oh, nobody care about them Florida Gators.